slow, live it up, watching time go. Planning moves, things solid to this cheat code. Get your money, make it big, fuck being broke. Get your money, make it big, fuck being broke. Live slow, live it up, watching time go. Making moves, things solid to this cheat code. Get your money, make it big, fuck being broke. Get your money, make it big, fuck being broke. This how it is, the mission's Benjamins. And fuck the drama and the bullshit, we ain't little kids. My circle small, but my riders heart, they never quit. Get your money, keep it gangsta, solid, straight legit. Never switch like the real ones that die for this. It's fucked up, but this is truly how it is. I hope you're ready if you're picking this like full of sin. No turning back, I represent my vital to the end. Fuck the fakes and the snakes and everyone that hates. I'm not phased, I won't break, bitch, I'll never.
You are now watching M.O.D Entertainment.
Now starting off, we're going to be starting off right here in the area that is known as Whittier. Now Whittier is an area that is home to several of these village neighborhoods, but we'll be starting off with what I want to say is the oldest village neighborhood on this list, because this neighborhood has already been around for a long time. And for this one, we need to actually make our way to the west side of Whittier, is where we're able to find the barrio QVR or QV or QVG, you know, either way, which stands for Barrio Quiet Village Rifa or Barrio Quiet Village Gang. You know what I mean? Now the Barrio Quiet Village is an old school barrio that's been right here in Whittier since, well, at least what I was told, that it's been here since the 30s to 40s, roughly around that time frame. So an old barrio, you know, at least what I was told, that it had branched off of the Jimtown neighborhood, and you know the Jimtown neighborhood is one of the oldest barrios within the southeast, you know, so that, you know, that's how that came about, you know. And the Quiet Village neighborhood is everything that is located right here by the 605 freeway, I would have to say throughout Whittier Boulevard and like Pioneer, so throughout like Redmond, you know, throughout all of those back ends, close to the Dead End Locals, obviously, because, you know, the Dead End Locals neighborhood is, you know, just right there as well. As a matter of fact, there's several neighborhoods that are like right here that are really close by. It gets hectic and chaotic in Whittier. You know, people often when they think about gangbanging, you know, they think about like areas like, you know, East LA and Compton and South Central, but in areas, in pockets like cities like Whittier and other cities like that, it gets on and cracking just as bad, you know what I mean? Because there's so many different neighborhoods that are just so jam-packed close to each other that it gets hectic, you know, battling for land, because they do battle right there for the Pico State Park, you know, between them and Dead End Locals. Like I said, it gets chaotic right there on Pioneer Boulevard. So, you know, that's throughout the back ends of Danby and, you know, and all of that. It's considered the Barrio Quiet Village. Now, how they got the name, at least what I was told, is that before, you know, with all the older barrios that were around, you know, and you know, the gang banging was heavy, this side of town was, you know, a little bit more quiet and peaceful. Well, at least until they got here, because ain't nothing, you know, quiet and peaceful about Quiet Village. They be getting on and cracking. But, you know, in those times, that is the reason why it was referred to as Quiet Village. You know what I mean? But then, you know, they turned it up and you know, started, you know, putting in work. And like I said, it's already old barrio, dating back already to 30s, 40s. So, you know, old school with, at least what I was told, more than 200 members to the Quiet Village gang. And continue to still represent right here for the southeast and putting theirs on the map for that Quiet Village. Shout out to the homie Big Demon out of the Barrio Quiet Village, Rifa, and they're still putting it on the map for the southeast. Now, to find the next neighborhood on the list, we actually have to make our way to the southeast, to the area of Whittier. Whittier is actually home to one of these village neighborhoods that often gets forgotten, because, you know, you do tend to hear more about gangs like, you know, Whittier, Southside Whittier, or Whittier 13, or Whittier Barrio Locos. But there is another Whittier neighborhood, which is the Barrio WVR, or WV or WVR, either way, you know, is the right way, which stands for Barrio Whittier Village or Whittier Village Rifa. It's a neighborhood that, you know, actually is a lot more older than I actually thought that it was. This neighborhood actually goes back to the 1960s, and this neighborhood first started off as a tagging crew that stood for Wicked Vandals, and Wicked Vandals ended up turning into Whittier Village, but it did start in the 1960s, and this neighborhood was roughly always a small barrio. You know what I mean? I was told that maximum of 35 to 40 members at max to this neighborhood. So they weren't large. Probably one of the more smaller neighborhoods in Whittier. That's probably why you tend to not hear about them as much as some of these other neighborhoods. But nonetheless, homie, they were a real neighborhood. Well, they are a real neighborhood, and they do real things right there in the Whittier Village area. You know what I'm saying? Even though it looks nice and all of that, I have told people, don't ever get it twisted, because real motherfuckers do real things, homie. You know what I'm saying? These guys, we're doing stuff. You know what I mean? So don't ever get it twisted. But yeah, that's what's up with the Whittier Village Rifa neighborhood right there, holding it down. Another village barrio that you have is located right here in Nellis, in the area that is known as Whittier Village. Whittier Village is home to one of these village neighborhoods that is not around no more. It was a small neighborhood that was around roughly around the 70s. It got only up to 19 members, I was told. Because the Whittier area being home to, more larger gangs like Tunerville, the Rascals, Pinot Rio, and gangs like that, it just made recruitment a lot more, difficult for the Whittier Village gang. You know what I mean? But occasionally you will see, older heads, from there, bump into some older heads, from that barrio. But that barrio is, no longer around, just because, Tunerville being a more larger neighborhood, because their territory was everything by Whittier Village, by the park and all those ends is where you were able to find this neighborhood. But now, you see more like the Rascals, Tunerville, and gangs like that. But it was a real neighborhood, and they still do have some OGs, floating around from this neighborhood. Another village neighborhood that we have right here is located in the Watts area, in the Hacienda Village area. Watts being a very, notorious, treacherous area, for the Watts riots and, several, Watts gangs. The barrio, Village Boys is a pretty old school barrio. Been around since the 70s. Not large in numbers, but nonetheless, they still hold a presence right there in Watts. This gang ain't no joke, homie. They get it on and crack it right there on 102nd, 107th, 104th, throughout that area of Hacienda Village, where the projects are at. They share, their neighborhood with the Village Bloods. But seems like, they could coexist. Until recently, I heard that maybe now there's beef and tensions between the barrios. But nonetheless, the Village Boys, real gang, continue to still be right there representing theirs and holding it down for the VBS, the Watts Barrio Village Boys. Now, to find another one of these village neighborhoods, we actually have to make our way to the area of Orange County, to the area that is known as Stanton. Stanton is home to several barrios, including Big Stanton, you know what I'm saying? And one of these village neighborhoods, which is the barrio CVLS translating to Barrio Crow Village Locos. Barrio Crow Village Locos is an old school barrio that has already been right here since the 50s, that this neighborhood has been established with roughly more than 300 members, at least that's what I was told. So it's already an old school neighborhood that's, been doing things right here. And their territory is everything from Santa Rosalia Street all the way to Lamson Avenue, all the way towards where Beach Boulevard's at, and from Beach Boulevard, their territory still extends all the way to La Barca nightclub. So everything that's in the middle, it's considered their barrio, which is a pretty big chunk of territory, you know what I'm saying? So that's throughout Chapman, that's throughout Devonwood, that's throughout Orangewood, that's throughout, all of that is considered their territory, Yorkshire, Staten Avenue, and so on and so on. It's a pretty decent amount of territory. And this neighborhood is known to sport the North Carolina blue and apparel, you know what I'm saying? As their colors, you know what I'm saying? So that's that, like that baby blue, you know what I mean? And this neighborhood, like I said, the city has already tried to combat it. It's thrown everything, all kinds of sweeps and everything, because where their neighborhood is at, people, get it twisted. They think that Orange County and the Stanton areas that ain't nothing cracking right here. When you got barrios like Big Stanton, not only that, you got the West Garden Grove, you have the 2FS, you have the 18th Street neighborhood, you have the Playboys, the Garden Grove Playboys. You have a lot of gangs right here. You know what I'm saying? It's not just like all like lovely. It gets on and cracking. And the Crow Village neighborhood has already been right here since the 50s, been doing it, holding it down for their section and for their barrio, and continue to put theirs on the map and holding it down still, since the 50s, out that little Madison area. You know what I mean? The Crow Village gang still continues to rep. Now, to find the next barrio that's on the list when we're talking about village neighborhoods, we have to make our way down to the area of San Diego. San Diego is actually home to one of these village neighborhoods that often gets forgotten. And that is the barrio Lomita Village 70s. Lomita Village 70s is already an old barrio that has been right here in the Lomita Village area for quite some time. You know what I'm saying? Now, this neighborhood, it was Lomita Village, and then it had clicked up with the 70s. I was told that they were the same 70s as from Compton, but there's different versions of the tale. So whichever version you want to believe, you know what I'm saying. I'm just going based on what I was told. So it was the same thing that they went over there, and then they combined neighborhoods to make it the Lomita Village 60s. So there was a Lomita Village, and then there was a Lomita 60. So then it became the Lomita Village 60s. And their territory is pretty extensive, but it's everything around the Lomita Park area. You know what I mean? So throughout San Vicente, throughout San Felipe, throughout Sunnyside, so throughout Sabre, throughout Cardiff Street, all the way to Jamacha Road. I think that's how you pronounce that damn street. To Meadowbrook Drive. So everything that's in the middle is considered their barrio, you know what I mean? Which is pretty extensive because it still goes all the way down to Skyline Drive, So their territory is pretty close to the Skyline Pyrus, well-known Pyru set, well recognized. So their territory, stays like right there, like close to theirs. You know what I'm saying? So everything, near the Lomita Park is where you're able to find the Lomita Village 60s, where they've been right here. And I was told that there are roughly more than 200 members to this barrio. So a pretty large barrio, within it is SD. Like I said, it gets on and cracking right here. And this barrio has been right here and continue to still be right there, holding it down for theirs in the Lomita Village 60s right there.
For watching M.O.D. Entertainment, make sure you like and subscribe.